Hey, what's up?
That was
Keep
came
it.
in hot.
Keep it.
I did. I got completely stuck. Hey, on this episode of the Critical Levitical Podcast, episode 0008,
Oh, man.
we're going to ask the question, where are all the sane pastors? Where are they?
Right here.
Not
Right.
North America.
Not a single sane pastor in North America, he says. We're going to look at two different pastors. One who's way far down the line in some strange sort of fundamentalism that makes me uncomfy, and then one who's trying way too hard to be innovative. Love to hear your thoughts.
The Critical Levitical Podcast.
Hey, we're here.
We're here for episode 8.
Episode 8. You know, we missed a golden opportunity to talk about James Bond on the last episode. We could have done like
Wait,
I
007.
literally did
Too
think
many
about
zeros.
that. Yeah.
So, well, yeah, I know. I understand. Yes, I
But
understand.
there's still a 007 in there.
There's a 007 in there.
Sorry, James.
R.I.P.
You know, they kind of did the opposite of what we did with our, like, we went big. We wanted to have a lot of room for growth. But then what spy organization was he a part of?
Oh, why did I
MI6.
want to say?
Just
Yeah.
MI6.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah. They were like, nah, there won't be 1,000 of them.
Only 100.
Yeah.
We only have room for
Well, there
100.
could be 1,000 if they started with 0, but only 1,000.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, good call. Wow, I'm smart. Okay, anyway.
I only know that because of, like, I've done programming,
Base 10,
and you have to learn to
Fair.
like arrays start at 0, not 1. It's a whole. I've crashed many a program
Okay.
by
Okay.
looking for something outside of. Anyway,
No, keep doing that. You're a cybersecurity guy's favorite. Creating buffer
right? Yeah,
overflows
yeah,
everywhere.
that's exactly it. Yeah. So hey, it's cold outside. As we
Cold.
record this, we're on the verge of.
Pretty cold.
Yeah. If the like news weather station TV people are to be believed, snowpocalypse,
Yeah.
which for Oklahoma is actually just a light dusting.
Yep. Hey, sometime. But it's either a light dusting or it actually is what they say. But when it actually is what they say, it's like 10% of the time.
I saw
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
your alma mater hometown. What's the right way to say? Doesn't matter. Anyway, people ice skating like on the sidewalk.
Oh, in Kansas City?
Kansas City.
Yeah. Listen.
Alma mater hometown. I was thinking his hometown is
Yeah, no,
Right
I know.
here?
your hometown.
I started to say hometown. I was like, no, wait, that's but
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it's- whatever.
No, they got it pretty bad. Yeah, and I have a couple coworkers in Indianapolis, and they got it real bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was headed to lunch yesterday, and this van drove by us that was covered in snow, like top to
Oh, yeah.
bottom.
Cool.
Like all the windshield wipers were frozen, like half the windows were frozen over, like all of that. And it's like,
Where'd you come
where
from?
the heck is that?
Okay.
But they had Kansas tags
Yeah,
on them,
right.
but it's been so dang cold. They
yeah.
drove
never
drove from
melted.
Kansas,
Yeah.
and it never melted.
I'll top it. I saw one yesterday.
Don't be a one-upper,
Exactly
Preston.
like that. No, hold on. You'll love this. Exactly like that. But the tags were Chihuahua, Mexico.
What?
I couldn't piece it together. I mean, they must have gone north and come back down.
Huh.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's
The
migratory.
only logical explanation. But it's odd enough to see foreign
fair.
tags
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Oklahoma anyway.
Because like in Chihuahua, like it'll get cold in Chihuahua, but not
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 cold enough
snowing
that you're
there, but not
driving
here.
all the way to Oklahoma and
Right,
it's still on
Through
there.
Texas?
Yes, yeah. Fascinating. Yeah, they had to have had like family or something and drove up, and then
guess.
we're on their way.
But then
back.
that's a heck of a drive.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I
our
don't think I
neighbors-
like any of my family that much.
Our neighbors across the street from us are.
That was a lie. I like you all.
I was like, I'm
just
pretty
not
sure
what
they
you
listened.
said.
Some of them.
They're from I can't remember what cities, but they're outside of Mexico City.
Mm. Oh, wow.
And so they drive down every Christmas
Dang.
for like the month of December. In fact, they're not back yet. It's been like 9 degrees outside, and their sprinklers are still going.
Oh, no.
So in the morning, their sprinklers will come on, and it's just like sheeting ice everywhere.
You need to take your water key over there and just do
I've
them a
thought about
solid.
because something horrible is going to end up happening as a result of that. But I've been at a lot. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do in that situation.
It's like
except
Christmas
like,
with the cranks. People try to get on his like, just
Might-
ices everything.
It might also be worse if you shut the water off because then you've got like the water's not flowing. So
that's
then the pipes are going to
yeah.
burst.
Which theoretically they're under pressure in that system, so it shouldn't. I don't know. If you know what to do,
Yeah, all of our irrigation specialists out there.
right. Tell me how I can help my neighbors who are
without
currently
them knowing.
in Mexico City. Without them knowing. Anyway, yeah. So are you guys cold weather guys?
No. The answer is no.
So you like summer
Yes.
through and through?
I literally, like, everybody talks about, like, I like the winter season, like, just.
Well, we know you
'cause
hate Christmas. So
That's right. Yeah. Like, yeah, I like winter because I hate Christmas. No, like, I've always liked warm weather. Like, if you give me an extreme, when people do extremes, it's so goofy because they're like, they'll compare like 90 degrees to, like, I don't know, something kind of remotely okay, like 40 degrees. Or like, I'd rather have I'm like, 40 is not cold and 90 is not hot. I'm like, we're not even comparing the right things. If it's below 32, it's got to be like above 100 for me to start comparing it. I hate cold weather. But if put me in the 90s or 80s.
So you really like the Celsius scale. It's like, it makes it super easy for you. Below 0, above 100, like if it's 100 degrees Celsious.
Yeah,
that's
the
warm.
I might
boiling
not be
temperature of water.
Yeah, I was like, I
don't
I
know
do
how-
not want it to be that outside.
I am not a scientist.
Whenever you do realize the Celsius stops making sense, once unless you're thinking of water boiling or freezing,
Yeah.
then I'm like, you know what? I'll be really American on that one.
Okay,
Fahrenheit's
so
better.
I heard it described really well this way. Fahrenheit is what temperature feels like for people. Celsius is what temperature feels like for water.
Yeah, exactly. So why are we? That's what I'm saying. Fahrenheit's just better.
That's
Sorry.
just to put it
For
that
all of
way
our-
is funny. I don't
That's
know.
fair.
Well,
it's true, though.
But
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
like that, I can reconcile that with like, okay, if I'm doing science things with all the science that I do, I'll do Celsius because that makes sense. I am thinking about the temperature
In your
for inanimate
garage,
matter.
You got a beaker and just.
Yeah, I do have a rock tumbler in my garage. You saw it
I did.
yesterday.
I
Yeah.
heard when I came to pick up the books the other day. I walk in. I'm like, "What is that?"
I literally
noise?
asked.
Yeah.
Are
So
you
I
popping
started.
popcorn. I was like,
I-
what's it?
I may have
I have a
overstepped, but I
Jiffy Pop
started.
just in
Just
my
right when you
garage.
get ready.
I started going through your
Go
garage. Like, I got to find what this is and stop it because like
Yeah.
Haley's home, probably napping, and
So
the
did
house is
you
going to
turn it
burn
off?
down. No, I didn't touch it. I just I
Somebody
looked
turned it
around
off.
until
It might
I
have been
found
the
it.
people who were watching our dogs because we
Oh.
got home because I told so my son loves rocks, like loves rocks. My house is full of rocks. Like our washer and dryer are full of rocks. Our cars
sound
are
good.
full of rocks. It's just rocks everywhere. He picks up every rock he ever finds.
He gave you a rock
everywhere.
paint job on your car.
Oof. Wait, that's
he
real.
did. He drew shapes on my car with rocks.
Oh,
And not like my crappy car, like the one we're still making payments on.
Nice.
Anyway, so we got him a rock tumbler for Christmas and he was so excited, but we left town for Christmas. So we opened it up, we got the first batch going. I was like, hey bud, by the time we come back, because there's 4 stages. I learned a lot about rock tumblers over Christmas. And there's 4 stages. So I was like, by the time we get back from grandma and grandpa's, like we'll be able to move on to the second stage. It'll be really cool. Except when I got back, the rock tumbler was off. Somebody had so we had you came over once or twice, and then we had somebody watching our dog who also had access to our garage. So they must have been like, well, they accidentally left that on, like our Jiffy Pop, so better turn it off so
Yeah.
there's not too much popcorn. And I was like,
Understandable.
well, sorry, Grayson, we're gonna have to
That's
restart this and give it another few days. And
you can't just resume it from where it was. Isn't the first
Yeah, but I
stage
don't-
just grit?
yeah, no,
Oh,
yeah,
but
we
you
did.
don't know
So-
how far along.
So
it
I had to turn.
was.
Yeah, it was basically just turn it back on and leave it for another 3 days. He was expecting us to
Yeah,
be able
when
to
you
get
get
home
back.
and do it. And
Man, that's so sad. Sorry, Grace.
That is the worst.
Man,
Yeah.
So yeah, he took it like a champ though. It was awesome. So we're actually ready to go on to the next stage right now, but it's been like 9 degrees outside. And I'm like, I am not going to go outside and mess with
Yeah,
rocks
you
right
don't
now.
want the rocks to be cold.
Fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, the rocks are what I'm concerned about.
We've covered everything before we've covered anything on.
Yeah,
our
none of that
podcast.
had any. Actually, almost none of that was what I intended to talk about.
That's great, dude.
So here we are. Whatever.
Oh boy.
So hey, let's talk about beards, which we did a lot last time.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is beards from a different angle, a profile instead of straight on. No.
Beards from a different angle. I like it.
Yeah, well, since we loved talking about beards so much last time, I thought we'd show another beard clip. Okay, who submitted this? Which one of you?
This is not me.
I think it was me.
I know it wasn't me.
Seems like
Do you,
a Preston
you want to
clip.
say anything about it?
No, there's not much you can say.
All right, let's watch it.
Churches today, you walk in some of them, there's more beards in there than there are out in the street. I'm going to tell you something. Facial hair is not apostolic. However you want to cut it, it's compromise. I don't care if your leader says you can wear a beard, honey. Beard's nothing more than pride.
Beard's nothing more than what?
Pride.
Yeah, I guess. I don't.
True for some people.
I love that guy's
That's fair.
content. Keith Foskey. I don't know how to say his last name. Yeah, so there were like some gaps. If you're just listening on audio, it's like where the original poster intercuts it with some pretty funny spatial expressions.
Sure.
Facial expressions. Hey, so you should go watch on YouTube and
That's right. Do both.
Like it. Yeah. Shameless plug. Ding. yeah, so hit me with some thought. First of all, I do love, he said, like, you can't wear a beard, honey, or something like that. Which is like, I would love for him to tell, like, the manliest
true.
person in his church and call him honey. Like,
Come here, honey. Let me
right.
tell you about your beard.
Like, I would say that sentence to my wife, like, okay, honey, you can't wear a beard.
We have a puppy. We named it Honey.
Oh, Honey is
Did you
the
really?
name.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a cat.
I heard.
Wait,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, it's true. We named it Bunny. Honey Bunny.
Honey Bunny.
We were on Hinge
I got
today.
nothing.
Yeah,
We didn't plan
well,
that
you're
either.
having a baby, so
That's true, but it will not be called Money. Why is that the only
Funny.
rhyme I could think of?
Runny.
No.
It is for the first couple weeks.
Sabrina and I do not decide on names until we're in the hospital. I just
Wow.
fascinating.
Literally, like the last two girls.
That's we get so stuck.
We like had favorites, but
Yeah. No, we get so stuck on names that if we waited till the hospital, it would be 3 weeks until the kid had a name. It would be like, all right, really, we need you to fill out the birth certificate.
oh man. Anyway,
Fantastic. All right, so
is this in a church, by the way? Like he's preaching
or a
something?
conference or something? Man, the crowd was going wild.
There-
They were
that's-
all
that-
in.
Or a cult.
That's what I'm saying. If you want to say nothing else about this video, why is everybody cheering so? Like, wouldn't we be like,
they're so excited about
I
it.
know. Yeah, I think this just goes to show, because there's approximately 0% chance that all those people genuinely have that strong opinions about beards, that if you're excited enough,
Yeah, that's true.
other people will
Like
get
charisma
excited.
goes a long way.
It really
Yeah,
does.
Right.
for sure.
Which is why I said cult.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
fair. Yeah.
And that reminds me of that video where the atheist goes to
Oh, yes.
elevation
Yeah.
and he
He's like, this is weird.
expresses some concerns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Just because, like an overabundance of charisma.
And in not the
Is a
like
problem.
critiquing biblical way, in the critiquing like the humanist way. That's what. Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, tell me stuff about beards.
Man, I'm literally trying to think of like one possible scriptural backing for why beards are bad.
I have one.
You do?
Are bad?
Not specifically about it's a reach.
Like cutting hair or
no. We'll get to that in a minute. But
okay.
or we can get to it now.
Well, whatever. You go. You do you, Cameron. This is your episode.
Sure. Well, no. So I was going to make a case for why this is one of the most ridiculous things imaginable,
Okay.
and then ask, is
All
there
right.
any merit to it? But we
Got
can
it.
start with merit. Let's start with merit.
Let's start with merit. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So, is there any merit to it? As the beardless one of the group,
That's right. Not
you
by
are,
choice.
You are holier, so you get to start.
Ooh, wait. There's
According
something
to this
now.
guy.
Maybe I like this guy now that I think about it.
Did you like Google beards in the Bible?
There was a specific verse I was looking for. But that's not far off of what I Googled.
man. That's good.
Fantastic. Yeah. So here's what I'll say some words, Stephen.
Yeah. Listen, I'm beardless, not by choice. This is all I got is a mustache. I could do a goatee, but no, I won't.
Well, you kind of have a little bit of a
Right, but that's just because I'm lazy, not because I'm
okay.
trying. Yeah,
I love
honey, you should have thrown that in there. Right. Then it would have been perfect.
that's adorable,
Got a
honey.
little thing there, honey. I'm leaving this episode. Oh man. Yeah. Am I speaking for merit on this thing or?
Yeah, I don't know. Speak your thoughts, man. Although
Listen,
you did preface
I will say
this whole episode with saying,
I-
I don't know that I have anything to add to that.
Well,
so
I will say some people who have beards should not have beards. I will say that.
yes, but for no theological
Oh
reason
yeah, that's
whatsoever.
I can't go to. Yeah, no, I got nothing as far as scripture. That's just me being perhaps a little judgmental. That's so yeah. In his defense, you know what? Some people shouldn't have beards.
Yeah,
Who do.
no, that's fair.
Or they should maybe do something different with their beards than what they
Right.
do. But that's all I got right now.
Okay.
I appreciate the fervor with which he
Yeah,
shares his
great.
message. If you're going to be convicted about something, own
better
it.
believe it. That's right.
You know,
Go all
and
in.
it's
right.
It's certainly clear that he believes it.
Can't deny
Um,
that.
I want to hear what you've got.
Yeah,
give
I-
us your stretch.
That's what I'm curious about. I want to hear what defense he has.
All right, let's limber up. I'm gonna make some stretches here.
Okay.
Because if you want to be goofy, about it, not goofy, no, whatever. There is the passage in Leviticus that says
You did Google beards.
No, but
That's like-
I knew
that's
it was
the
there. I knew what I was
opposite,
looking
though.
for.
That's what.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is like if you want to debunk this like with a biblical foundation. It says you are not to cut off the hair at the sides of your head or mar the edge of your beard. And that's Leviticus 19:27.
What does mar the edge of your beard mean?
Mar. Well,
It's like whenever I go to trim it up and I miss, and it's like, oh crap, now I got to cut the whole
You
thing
do the
off.
thing. You don't put a guard on
Right.
it.
It's like now
and-
I can go to his church. That's a problem.
Oh no, I can't go down
All right,
this rabbit
Steven's
hole.
on Quora. So
Yeah,
it's
I was
gonna
like, I
be
can't
a
go down this rabbit
long
hole.
episode.
Oh man.
Yeah. So the only thing that I could,
It's also very anti-pagan. That was one of the points.
yeah, and that's almost honestly kind of where. So Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. Right now, beards are really in vogue across the gamut.
Ain't no way he's preaching this passage though. That like,
Sure.
I would
Okay.
venture a guess
But
he's not
I'm-
preaching any passage.
I mean, fair. Yeah, good call.
But
keep
certainly
going.
not this
But
translation.
keep going.
Yeah,
that's
like, so maybe he's in some weird cultural pocket
Since
of the
there
United
are so
States.
many beards out there, is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, like that. Like, okay, so here's an example. Don't get me wrong. I am not convinced by any of what I'm saying to you right now. I just want to make that very
The
clear.
lean forward.
I was watching MASH the other day. And
Where do you still find
I'm sorry.
MASH?
I did not expect that to what?
I'm just glad you know what it is.
I do know what it is. Yeah.
Uh,
So in this is I'll be really quick. In one of my high school classes, one of those high school classes that's like you go and it's an old
Yes,
history
yes,
professor
yes.
or teacher and he doesn't do anything anymore.
Yep.
We literally would watch MASH episodes.
That's incredible. Mine was Simpsons.
Yeah.
True story. Senior year of high school, sociology class. I took as an
That's probably
elective,
was
just
the
like
class.
whatever. And yeah, some guy like, flat top buzz cut kind of thing.
yep.
And we literally watched Simpsons. And so
I respect
after
that.
a few weeks is like, it was the class right before lunch. So I had band
man.
first and second hour, and then I had that
You got
class.
nothing that morning.
And so,
Well-
yeah, it was like, so I had band, and sometimes we get out of band early.
Yep.
And it's like, I guess I'm going to lunch at 10.
Right. Yeah,
And
right, yeah.
I would. And
Yeah.
because like we had block scheduling too. So like one of the days I didn't have anything in the afternoon. So it was like, I am going to go to school, play trumpet for an hour and a half, and then be
leave.
done.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so I did. I was like, all we're
That's
doing is
lit.
watching Simpsons. He clearly doesn't care until I got called into the principal's office for truancy. It's like, oh, now you care.
What?
And then I got back and we watched like one more episode of Simpsons for the whole rest of the thing. So I don't know if there was
Dang,
like,
he probably, yep.
anyway,
Brutal.
yeah. So that's the thing.
That was
It has
fun.
nothing to do with anything. MASH. It's on Hulu.
Oh.
So I was watching MASH, and they in one of the episodes, Radar O'Reilly, the plucky little corporal, decides he wants to get a tattoo because one of the Marine guys had tattoos, and he was talking about it. And everybody's trying to talk him out of it. Like, that's the worst decision that you could possibly make. Like, why would you do that? Like, it's so permanent. Like, it'll align you with the wrong type of people. And it was just really funny to watch. Like, okay, this episode aired in 1977, I think, is when that episode
How
was.
the times have changed.
Like in 1977, in a secular, like there is nothing.
Oh, yeah.
The most Christian thing about MASH is Father Mulcahy, and he's like, he gambles and like drinks with the rest of them. So he's not the model. Great character though. Anyway, but they're like, man, you don't want to do that. You'll ruin your life. So in the mid 1970s, at least, and like MASH is pretty progressive in a lot, like especially towards the end. Like once we start getting into that, like when there's a whole other rabbit trail nobody cared for. This is not why they're watching this podcast. But Alan Alda like really starts to push his like progressive like agenda and all that. And it's really like I don't hate a lot of it, but that's a whole other conversation. Whole other episode. We'll tackle Alan Alda. But like so they're kind of progressive and accepting in a lot of ways. But then with tattoos, like even
Can't
his
do that.
character's like, whoa,
Yeah.
terrible idea. So you could make a case then for believers in 1975 maybe abstaining from tattoos.
See, but this
Because
video,
of like a cultural thing.
Yeah.
And of course now, like you've got Greek all over you. Like
All over.
all over.
One tattoo.
that's why he always wears long sleeves and a vest.
Can't see it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Hide it.
Anyway, so that's all I can
that-
get to.
Yeah, but like that video, if he was talking about tattoos, it'd be a different story. But he's talking about beards. Like
Right.
I've seen plenty. Sure, Christians against tattoos. Sure, but like beards, that's a new one. Like,
right. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I like again, that's a stretch to conflate
Yeah.
the two.
For sure.
Because
But
I think that it's
Giving
really
him the
easily,
benefit of the doubt, that's kind of
yeah, which
Okay.
is uncharacteristic of me. I understand.
Sure.
But bro, that's all I got. I don't know. Do not like. So is there any merit to that?
If I'll say this, if there is something out, when I say outside, I mean outside the church, like in like a secular culture that's super, super popular and it's also popular in the church, I mean, maybe we should reevaluate. I'm not saying like always, but that's
Or
kinda,
okay, let me put it a different way. Like, what if it is a matter of like primary association? Right?
What do you mean?
Like,
like an example.
yeah. Well, I don't know if I can come up with an example on the fly, but well, like some of the biblical texts, right? Like, men should wear head coverings. Women should never wear head coverings. Okay, like, I'm pretty sure I've seen your wife wear a hat. Like my wife, like,
I thought it was the other way around. Am I crazy?
or maybe it's the other way
Yeah.
around.
Like women wear.
Yeah, and men shouldn't because of the glory. Yeah,
Sure.
Because
So-
of the angels.
because of the angels.
But
Yes,
then
yes,
our
yes,
culture
yes,
was
yes.
doing something like, what are you
Yeah,
saying?
so but like none of us enforce head coverings on our wives.
Right.
Why?
Well, right. Well, you want to get into that passage now, or
Well, no, well,
okay.
I mean, we can a little bit, I guess, but like there is a primary association issue with that passage, right? Like women should cover their heads because in this cultural context, to not cover your head means
So you're saying that's what he's
this.
talking about? Maybe.
So maybe like that could be the angle. Maybe if it wasn't, that's
I
the
see.
only way I could make it make sense.
Yeah. Well, he did say, however, though, that there's more beards in the church than outside. So
that like debunks his
yeah,
own.
I was like,
yeah,
hang on a
right.
second. Now,
You think he's jealous? Do you think that he is like facially follically challenged like yourself? And
wow, that's a way to put it. At least I have a mustache. Sorry, he didn't.
that's true.
yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's all up here still, so I'll take that. He was just bald all the way around.
Maybe he has alopecia, and he's like, if I can't have hair, nobody can have hair.
That must be it. In which case, you know what? If you got people cheering for you like that, I'd be saying the
That's
same
maybe
thing.
it wasn't even a church service. It was an alopecia conference. Like it's just a convention for
He's
like.
sitting at home like, why are these guys reacting? Like, what did I do?
That's so funny. I'm gonna go with that. I like that one better.
Yeah,
I like that one
I
better.
hate to burst your bubble, but I found the source.
Oh,
His name is Stephen Buxton,
Okay.
now retired pastor of Hilltop Tabernacle in San Diego.
Hilltop.
It is a.
we should be careful we don't get into libel territory here, but
Oh, this is we're just sharing facts.
okay. Yep. Share some facts.
They call themselves an apostolic Pentecostal church,
Okay. Yeah,
which I don't.
That checks out.
that's not uncommon.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that part of the world to speak with any more authority than that. I just found that.
Okay. Well, so
Good to know.
but was
I
that
would
at a
imagine,
church service or was that at a like?
Yeah, it was a sermon,
Oh,
which I imagine you could. It was delivered on June 5th, 2022. So, at First Pentecostal Church of North Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh, right around the corner.
So you could
Snakes.
possibly find it.
I don't know if there were snakes. I'm kidding.
Honestly, could be.
That's
They're
what
one
I'm
of the
saying.
ones
Southern-
that
That's the
take like
problem
the
with
last
beards.
chapter
The
of
snake's
Mark
got something to get a hold of, and
really seriously.
Yeah, that.
you got to be
Yeah,
careful.
it's all about. Yeah, I didn't think about it from that angle. No, Southern Pentecostal. That's the same. Anyway, huh? Well, I appreciate you digging, doing our internet sleuth, Preston Norman of the group.
I may not be good at a lot of things, but I'm good at Google.
I'm good at Google. It's like the Nate Bargatze. It's like, it says we can't give him the real internet. This is dumb
What's
internet.
the deal with these
internet.
Eagles? Yeah. Why is it? Well, okay. Yeah. Why is it a problem? Why is what this guy said problematic?
Well, my thing, it's like, it's not even like problematic. It's just weird, I think, more than anything. Like, because like, if you just want to yell at people for having beards, I mean, I guess. Unless you're making it like a, I don't know, I'm hitting the chair so hard.
Yeah, I'm never giving you a metal chair.
Yeah,
again.
right. Yeah. Which that might be to my benefit because it's kind of, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I get a comfier chair if I just start smacking this thing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you got the youngest butt in here. You're fine.
Yeah, you keep that young buck quiet over there.
All right. Anyway, no, it's like, it's not bad. It's just weird more than anything. Like there's nothing wrong unless you're saying it's like sinful to have a beard, in which case like no, like, but
Yeah. So, well, if
aside from that,
he didn't like say those words outright, I
Right,
guess, but he
that's
kind of
just implied.
strongly
oh
insinuated.
yeah,
it.
if you're that passionate about something just because your opinion, I mean, power to you. But like the passion,
Get a podcast.
right? The passion he gives, it makes you think like he believes it's sinful. In which case, there is approximately -10. Like,
I mean, he did call it. He said it was pride.
That's
and we know
what- yeah,
that pride
that-
is sinful. Like,
so I mean, you were talking about this earlier, I think, Preston. Like some people take tremendous pride in their beards, like maybe to a sinful degree.
Right. Well, and that's what I was going
That's
to
certainly possible.
point out too.
did he
like
talk
it's-
about that earlier?
Preston
I
just
mentioned
briefly
it, yeah,
mentioned it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't listen to
pay
you when you
attention,
talk.
kid.
No, I know. That's why you're always looking that direction. Yeah. No, it is interesting that like I if I jump through a few hoops, I can maybe kind of get to a place where it's like maybe.
Some
like
Very convincing.
yeah, like I with what little I think I may know about the apostolic charismatic
Sure.
circle, like it's maybe attempting to be really focused on holiness.
yeah, like purity and sure,
Right.
sure.
And so to that end, like maybe like if you're making an argument about a beard and even like the obsessive upkeep of it, and I'm imagine they're not even going that far. They're not looking specifically at those people. They're
Right.
saying beards, period,
Yeah.
is a problem because you're like putting this, like you're putting too much interest in something that's like kind of altering your appearance or something. You know, like
Sure.
you're not spending that time focusing on the things of the Lord, right? Like that's somehow taking away from your
Fair.
holiness.
Like
It's like a
that's a
modesty,
big
vanity,
yes,
a Mr.
conversation.
Fantastic stretch right there, but
Right. But
Possible.
You say Mr.
I
Fantastic.
did, yeah.
but the other problem, like if
Easy
that
there, Reed
if that
Richards.
is what he's saying,
Right.
the problem inherent in his argument is, brother,
The
you're
heart of
wasting
the
all
matter,
of, like
yeah.
you're wasting a sermon
Yeah, right. Talking about this.
talking about this. Like if you want to preach holiness, shut up and
there's
preach the word.
there's a lot
And
of other
like,
ways to do
there's-
that.
Yeah, you could do so much more with that time.
I want to sit him down, just a room. All right, hypothetical with me. Just put.
So there's the Spurgeon quote.
That's right. No, I'm serious. Take Spurgeon, take him in a room like this, and just set him down and say, have a conversation.
Just see what happens.
I want to be a
Yeah.
fly on that wall, that very, very hypothetical wall. I want to be a fly on the wall and see that. See. Well, Cameron, tell me why I mentioned that. Why Spurgeon specifically?
Yeah, well, there's a Spurgeon quote we talked about on the last episode. You
Did we really?
We
oh,
did.
We
wow.
did. We mentioned it.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So
yeah.
read it.
Do you
Okay,
have?
This is the Charles Haddon Spurgeon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure from a sermon, by the way. Growing a beard is a habit most natural, scriptural, manly, and beneficial. From the Baptist Pope Charles Spurgeon. Y'all never heard that? Huh? It's a good one.
I've heard
Yeah.
Prince of Preachers.
Yeah.
I've not heard.
I've heard other like His Baptist Holiness kind of thing, but never specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I just want to see, because
Why
like
do you
even
think that he
even
says
this
it's scriptural?
even this quote, I'm like,
That's apocryphal.
like sure, maybe, I don't know, like I don't even agree necessarily, but like yeah, that's why I want to see it, because it's both extremes, like
Right.
it's anti-scriptural. Growing a beard is scriptural, and then all the normal people are like, it's just a beard, and that's why I want to see this conversation. Anyway,
That's yeah. I would be interested to see if good old Spurge like
He was
gives us
pretty
a
witty.
reason.
Yeah.
He was
Oh, right.
witty. But like,
yeah,
like why do you?
I
why
don't know the
scriptural?
context of
natural,
this.
manly, and beneficial. Sure.
that's
Or
yeah.
whatever. The scriptural is just an interesting.
Maybe like I don't remember that. I know I'm not a good Spurgeon
Maybe I
scholar
have
right
an
now.
idea
Because
but
again, Leviticus says don't trim it.
Yeah,
that- okay.
but I
Maybe
don't.
he had that in mind.
Spurgeon understands the difference between law and anyway. Like
Well, yes,
I'm
but-
curious. Like I'm not being a good Spurgeon scholar, but I need to look up like what the context for this
The law
is,
is
because I
still
really don't know.
like the Lord came to fulfill the law, not abolish it. So
Okay.
you got to grow that.
But
beard.
he also said, okay, whatever. We're not.
That's what he means. There were people with beards in Scripture. Technically,
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Actually, it could be as simple as that.
We're gonna pull
It's
something.
never the
We're
simple
gonna pull
answer.
something
Shut up.
with all the reaching we're doing here.
Yep.
My back has
Eventually.
been killing me. That's nothing to do with anything either. So here's why I have a problem with it.
'Kay.
Since you guys asked, thanks for asking, Preston. Appreciate
Hit
it.
us. Yeah.
Not literally.
I considered reaching.
Yeah. Hit me, honey.
But I
like-
knew I would like
Just
miss
the way you
and
said it, I
actually-
was like, it made me think of it too. So
you say hit me, honey. Hit me, honey.
this has got to stop.
I was just about to.
No, this has got to stop.
Okay.
Our
We have
listeners
a
are
whole other
tuning
thing
out.
to get. Yeah, that's sorry. Stick with us. There's nothing more important coming, but stick with us anyway. I don't like it when people add to the gospel. And
Yeah.
to tell
Yeah.
people not to do things
There you
like
go.
that
Way to
and
get
say
serious.
this shouldn't be there is adding to the gospel.
Right.
And that's a problem. And yeah, I mean, that's a problem. Those are conversations that even like candidly as our church, like right now, we're like working on our focus for all of 2025 is discipleship, spiritual formation, spiritual disciplines, commands of Christ, like walking with Jesus. What does that look like? And it's so funny how naturally, like as we're having conversations as a staff, like in staff meetings and things, how natural it is for all of us to like, yes, and here's the method that we need to like put forth for people to do this, which is not a bad thing. That's good. We should have methods. We should have ways to go about things. Jesus like supplied methodology at times, but then sometimes we're like, well, what are we going to do if people don't do that method? And then it's like this whole crisis of figuring that out. And it's like, we have to realign to no, okay, hang on. Remember, the method is not the thing. Like the gospel is the thing. Adding a method as a requirement is adding to the gospel, and I don't like adding to the gospel. So I went to Galatians 1, verse 6, verses 6 through 10. And this is what I would maybe if I were moderating the debate between Spurge and this guy.
Bring him here.
On the podcast. That
You're not,
is a
not on
problem.
D&D.
I am. I have my wife set to come through D&D anyway.
Your wife plays Dungeons and Dragons.
She does.
Haley, stop
She's
talking to
a rogue.
Cameron.
Anyway, so like if I were to ever moderate the debate between this guy and Spurge, bring them here on the podcast, I would maybe bring in Galatians 1. Think we can get Spurge as a guest? We can just go to like Scotland and
grave.
like sit at his tombstone. Anyway, I don't.
If we could do a podcast.
That's what the
episode
Bethel guys would do. Soak on it a little bit.
there.
You've never heard grave soaking?
It's a thing. We're not going there.
Okay.
That'll be
I
another
just yelled way
episode.
too loud. Galatians 1, verses 6 through 10. I'm amazed that you are so quickly turning away from him who called you by the grace of Christ and are turning to a different gospel. Not that there is another gospel, but there are some who are troubling you and want to distort the gospel of Christ. But even if we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel contrary to what we have preached to you, a curse be on him. As we have said before, I now say again, if anyone is preaching to you a gospel contrary to what you received, a curse be on him.
Anathema.
Yeah, right. For am I now trying to persuade people or God? Am I striving to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. I love that. Like, there are people among you who want to distort the gospel of Christ. It's hard for me to see this discourse on the evilness of beards as anything other than distorting the gospel of Christ.
Or
at best, it's muddying the waters.
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
Right?
at the very least, like you're distracting people from,
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And at worst, you're at because it's objectively not unbiblical to have a beard. You know how I know? Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
How do I know? Ask me how I know.
How do you know, Cameron?
Because Jesus had a beard. If Jesus had a beard, it can't be wrong.
Wait a minute,
Right?
wait a
Like,
minute.
Correct.
I've seen clips of The Chosen. I don't remember him having a beard.
Oh my.
he's a little scruffy.
I knew that would get him.
Are you pulling up a picture of the show?
Yes.
He totally has a
He has a
beard.
beard.
You
Oh, does
knucklehead.
it? Okay, I don't know. I just wanted to bring it in.
Still, Mark's against you. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
he's got
not.
a
You can
great
watch The
beard.
Chosen. It's fine. I'm not. I just want that. To
That's
be
a later episode.
said. Right, right.
I don't know if I want to do that episode.
That's fair. Hey, we've
Um,
talked about a lot before.
that's true.
That'd be-
Nah, that's okay. But they have a lot more money than most of the people we talk
That's-
about.
Yeah,
So-
that's a good
and they
point,
might
dude.
actually be litigious.
Right. That's a good point.
Although, man, I'm not gonna say that. No, I'm gonna say that. If somebody ever sues us, we're just gonna do a podcast episode and read 1 Corinthians 6 about Christians not suing other Christians and give no commentary whatsoever.
And then just keep going.
Just hold up the summons and say
The
1
summons.
Corinthians 6 said, and then anyway,
You don't want us in a courtroom together. That would be a nightmare.
Just- awful.
I object. I don't know why, but I do.
That's my biggest bone to pick with movies. Objection, Your Honor. Which is, what's the objection? You have to give the objection, and then the honor.
Why do you know that?
I don't. Probably from the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard deal. I got way too into that. He used it as a sermon illustration one time.
He almost got his JD out of just
Yeah,
watching that.
People be like that though. Anyway, people act like it. Okay. Anyway, I'm so
You're
sorry.
insane.
We've derailed this
I would-
conversation approximately 90 times.
Isaiah chapter 50
Tell us about Jesus.
is a prophecy about Jesus, and it says, I gave my back to those who beat me, and my cheeks to those who did what? Tore out my beard.
Mm.
You have to have a beard for the beard to be torn out.
Mm.
Jesus had a beard. So
Nice.
how could you possibly tell Christians that having a beard is a problem?
And this is also in the context of like apostolic. So you can't even say, well, it's reserved for the apostles and Jesus because he's talking specifically about his
On what
apostolic.
grounds?
I would
I know
also-
that's
Yeah.
right. I'm trying to.
I would
Yeah.
also add, if you want to be apostolic, it's like, well, it doesn't matter. It's too late. Like, you can't fit the biblical
Yeah,
qualifications
Yeah,
right.
good luck
of
telling
apostle,
like
so-
3 entire denominations.
Yeah.
No, I know.
We
know.
will.
We-
Yeah.
I would add one more thing. if
Add
that's
one more
okay.
thing. You may. I'll allow it.
Thanks, man. To me, and this kind of goes back to what I mentioned on the holiness thing. If you are like it sort of resembles a low view of your role as a pastor. If you're wasting time doing that, right? Like I'm not going to get in the pulpit and scream and yell at 3 people in my church. Now, we don't have these people. I'm not saying that. If we ever did,
you only have 2 people
in whatever,
Yeah, right, that's right.
if I'm preaching to whatever congregation, right now, there's an issue. If it's beards, if it's immodest clothing, if whatever, like these are not issues I'm going to address from the pulpit because that time is precious. I only have so much time in the pulpit to, preach on top, and it can touch on that in a more
text.
broad way, right? Like I can preach on the topic of holiness and still encounter that issue, still, preach a message that the Holy Spirit can use to convict the hearts of those people while not wasting it on a small handful of people when the rest of the flock needs to be fed too. Right. And so like
now,
this
to be
guy's
fair,
shouting.
we don't know what he's like couching
Right, that's what I want.
thing in.
I'm trying to see this lead in. Like,
But like what I'm saying there is like he's shouting this at a crowd who's all affirming it. And it's like, okay, what are you preaching then? Like what fruit was there from this?
Right.
they're less beardless, or they're more beardless than they were when they walked in somehow.
For the invitation, they handed out like trimmers to everybody.
right.
Like, get yourself right.
Yeah.
One guy had a beard comb and they like burned him.
Burned him?
Yeah.
Oh my word. I didn't expect.
Get him out of here.
Oh my goodness.
That's
They used to do that to Baptists, by the way. Anyway,
That's true.
Fun church history for you.
Thanks, Methodists.
This episode is going to have 3
A lot of
plays.
people triggered.
Yeah. Hey, if we've triggered you, comment. Thanks for the engagement.
Indeed.
Did we say enough about beards?
I think
We
so.
Are we
did.
sufficiently
for
bearded
sure
out?
did, yeah.
Indeed.
Okay.
You guys are.
Great. We're going to move on.
If you're enjoying the Critical Levitical podcast, do us a favor, drop a like, subscribe, follow. If you're on a platform where you can follow, leave a good review, share it with a friend. If you know somebody or you have questions about what we're talking about today, share it with them. Every little bit helps us out, so we greatly appreciate it. Wow.
Oh, the echo.
That's good.
Yeah, it just
Chills.
kind of goes on
Mixing
a
it
little
up.
bit,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah.
I like it. It's not even a holiday.
Yeah. How about that? So my title for this next section.
I just saw it before you were. Oh.
Does God hear robot prayers?
Dude, I'd never thought if you'd have told me, all right, episode 8, what do you think you'll be talking about? I didn't like.
This reminds
This
me
wouldn't have been on there.
This like it's really tangential, but I saw in a Discord group I'm in yesterday. It was a picture of a Ring doorbell plugged into a USB port on a couch, and they were like,
yeah.
"I'm charging my doorbell with my couch."
Explain this to somebody in
someone
19
50 years ago.
Yeah, right. Someone in 1970. What? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
That's so good.
Wow, what
yeah.
a time.
I took that title of this section
I love
from Philip K. Dick. Is that his name? He's a dystopian writer from the mid.
Okay.
Oh, is this the
1900s.
dude?
Do androids dream of electric
Yeah.
sheep? Electric sheep. It's the short story that Blade Runner was based on. Anyway,
Ooh.
so does God hear robot prayers? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Well, you were going to answer.
So yeah, play the
Do you
video
have an
first.
answer? Well, no, Stephen was going to
Okay.
answer. Cold turkey.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk more about
Okay,
that after
all
we
right.
watch this video, because I have to know more.
Okay, I'd love to have my own personal pastor, so I hit the Ron Carpenter Ministries archive and I called Pastor Ron.
Are you kidding me?
And after I called Pastor Ron, let's say, you know what? Let's say I'm not feeling good in my body. Carpenter, how can I help?
Are you kidding me?
Pastor Ron, I'm not feeling well today. Could you pray for me?
Are you kidding me?
Hey there. I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well. Let's take a moment to pray together. Heavenly Father, I thank you that you know us and hear us. Are you kidding me? You'll know more about it? You have to wait. We'll tell you later.
The cliffhanger.
I have to wait to hear more.
So, for one, first thought before Stephen expands on why God hears robot prayers, I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I have an innate distrust of, I'm going to call it like pastoral dynasties, in which like
That's a good word.
father, son,
Yep.
grandson, like are all
That's a good
big
word.
televangelist
because
type
it's usually
pastors.
associated in that televangelist
It is.
sphere.
Now,
Yeah.
I do know
Not
I
every
know
time.
incredibly faithful, great pastors and leaders whose dads were also incredible, great pastors and leaders. So it's not,
but they don't have like an
across the-
empire. Like
right.
yeah.
I can count it on like one hand though, the good
Yeah,
ones, but
that's
I can
fair.
count on a lot of
Yeah.
hands the ones that are like, I
That's a good
don't
point.
trust you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, thoughts. Tell me about what we just watched.
Here's why I said yes. First of all, I think this is super goofy. I'll talk about that later. But like, because I'm trying to think, if a person is following this guy or at his church or maybe he's just heard about him and is seeking prayer, I'm gonna assume that they're a less mature believer. Well, I feel like is a safe assumption. And so at least they're looking for some sort of encouragement. That's what I'll say. There are 1.5 billion other places to find that like encouragement and prayer, but like most likely two people are going to use this. People who are immature Christians who are being sincere and actually want help, and people who are just having fun and are bored. Like those are the two people who are going to use this.
Right.
So it's like
Or Cameron, because I signed him up for it.
That's right. Or Cameron, yeah, because he's been signed up. And you can't
Preston's
unsign
about
up
to
from
be
anything.
on so many mailing lists. That will be my entire afternoon today.
Lovely.
Joke's on you. Me and Caitlin signed up for everything at the Home and Garden Show when we were first married.
Oh, you
and I'm
totally-
still getting those calls. So
Yeah, but maybe you'll win something. Anyway, so
He won't.
that
Like-
air purifier, what's that?
like it's not like the Lord just is like, sorry, you used AI, so I can't help you. Like it's not like that, but that's what I mean, I guess. Now I'm not defending this at all
If
because
the
this
person
is so goofy.
uses that prayer as a platform for
correct.
their own prayer,
That's what I mean. Yeah, correct.
which I think is probably
That's what I'm hoping is happening. That's like all I got. That's what I got.
Sure. Okay.
So like, yes, maybe. Like he hears them. Like if it's not like if
maybe.
the person's making a joke and says
I don't
pray
know.
about this or that, like I could just see somebody.
I
saying,
think I'd be more okay with it if it were like, tell me your problem and I'll help you. Like if it's Chat GPT, you're like, help me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Help
this
me
is
with a
OpenAI.
prayer.
Oh,
it is
totally,
It
yeah.
is. And I have more about that in a second. But if you go in and it's like, help me come up with a prayer about like maybe you just can't think of the words, which
Fair.
Great. Sure.
Go
Yeah.
to the Psalms. Oh wait.
yes. That has its own problems. But if the whole thing is just like, help me know how to pray, then like,
Well, here's
Okay.
where
like I use that sometimes to write like study questions and stuff. I use it to help
Oh,
help
for
me
sure.
elaborate
Yeah.
sermon points and
so I'm
stuff.
not necessarily innately good at study like group
Yeah.
discussion questions,
Right,
but like
right.
copy paste my outline into Chat GPT. Like, give me some good group questions based on this material, and then
Yes.
it spits out 10 and 2 of them are
Pastors, we
good.
know you do
So,
this. Quit pretending. You do.
Logos has built it into their software now.
Right.
So-
Yeah,
Oh, really?
right.
Oh, yeah.
If you pay for the subscription. So here's where I get what you're saying. I do. Where I think that breaks down maybe a little bit, and maybe
Please.
I'm reading too much into it,
Ah.
is the fact that like the AI in Ron Carpenter's voice literally says, "Let me pray for you,"
Yes.
and then
Oh, I see what you're
prays.
saying.
So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
"Let me help you pray," "Let me
If it
guide
were
you in prayer,"
transparent
"Let
that
me
this is not
submit
actually a
this prayer
pastor.
request" or whatever.
Yeah.
It's no.
Yeah.
This AI synthesized voice is saying,
You know what I'm going to do now?
It feels very Catholic. Pay
I'm
your
gonna do
$49 a month and Mary will
Yes,
pray
yes,
for
yes.
you.
Right.
to-
That's
yeah.
the next logical progression.
So you're right. That is correct. So yes and no. I agree. If the person uses it to launch their own prayer, but he does say, and what is prayer? It is the approach, as Spurgeon says, of the soul
Spurgeon quotes.
to the throne of God by the Spirit of God. You think the Spirit of God is bringing robot words to the throne of God? So in that sense, yeah, you're right. He did say, "Let me pray for you." Good call. Man, dude, that's why this is so good. Like, the more I think about this, just like the more like upset I get at like our culture. Like, my word, like you can leverage AI in so many good ways, like genuinely. And this is one of those where you think it's good. It's just so.
And
it teaches people horrible habits. Like, horrible habits.
That kind of reminds me of there's the meme that's like, we have AI like creating art while I'm still doing laundry and dishes. What I really wanted
It's
was
doing the
AI
yeah,
to do
right.
laundry and dishes so I can make art.
Yes.
Anyway, what were you
Well,
going to
that's the pastor in my is honestly the bigger problem in all this. Like if you're
for sure.
if you call yourself a pastor and you're so busy that you have to come up with an AI assistant
You
to
got
do
too
your
many-
prayers for
plan a
you.
church.
You're too busy.
Yeah.
Well,
You
he
need
has
less people in your church.
Yeah.
You need more
Yeah.
time with your congregation.
And there's the
church.
rub. He has a 21,000
Jeez.
member church. Yeah. So
Two
but-
campuses across the country from each other.
Sure. Which we're not getting into multi-site, make a church, whatever. I don't care to have that conversation today. I think the cool factor, because there's a cool factor there a little bit, because so if you don't know how AI works, this is almost certainly a open AI. There's lots of different chat GPTs out
Right.
there. It's called language learning models. They ingest a ton
It's an insane amount
of
of
information,
Yeah.
and they can build a predictive model based on that information. And so that's what's happening here, right? So they fed it, 30 years worth of the Ron Carpenter's sermons and said, hey,
Sorry.
sound like him, use his kind of language, use whatever, and what would he say in response to this based on what you've learned? So I think there are some cool application for that kind of thing. Like if we had an app, Critical Levitical AI app coming soon.
Oh boy.
Never. If we had an app that scrubbed our podcast, for example, and people
that would be kind of fascinating.
it would be kind of cool. Hey, whatever, I have questions about
What would I say to this? I'm
this
just kidding.
thing, and then we say, well, I think that
It's like, here's
Blah, blah, blah,
Stephen
blah,
Spurgeon
right.
quote for that.
Yeah, right.
that's yeah, right.
By the way,
And
he
that-
went to Midwestern.
Oh, that was good.
That
was good.
Right? So that's kind of cool from that perspective. Hey, what would my pastor tell me about this? Or what has my pastor said about
Yeah.
this? Is basically kind of how it
Yeah, I
shakes
don't
out.
hate that.
That's cool.
But
that's
not what they're using.
That's
it
not
for,
what
like,
that's
yeah.
the problem. Because at first I'm like, this isn't terrible. And then it very quickly gets terrible
Yeah.
when it's like, all right, let me pray for you. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
And
I
looked up the app. I downloaded the app.
course
That's
you
why
did.
I needed your contact information. There's a call feature like what you saw there. There's also a chat feature, and this is why I know that it's OpenAI, because all they did was just put a profile picture in place of the little OpenAI logo.
Oh.
So it's literally their entire interface and everything. They're not even
Pretending.
hooking it
Yeah,
into
right.
their own interface. And it introduces itself. It says, "Hey, this is Pastor Ron. What can I help you with?" Right? So it's like his picture, they're doing everything they can to make it look like you're interacting with the man himself.
See, that's weird. There's no disclaimer or
Yeah.
anything?
Which
I mean, I think you
there's
know
gotta
that,
be.
Yeah, you must, but
There has to be a disclaimer,
Still,
or you
what's-
literally are. You can. There's so
It might
much
be
legal issues
legally
there,
prob-
and,
yeah,
oh my
right.
word. That's
how do you handle that?
Yeah, interesting.
If they give
someone-
you some sort of advice,
yeah,
and
you
you're
should
like, Ron
drive your
told
car
me-
off a cliff. And then,
or we have, I mean, this is getting into the weeds, but if somebody tells us about child abuse, we have reporting requirements,
oh yeah,
Like,
they've
what do
gotta
you
have
do
some
with that?
keywords in there that are tracked
That is a good point. Yeah.
right?
that will send notificate.
I don't know. It's
There's
just
a lot of
Now I have
complications
as
here.
pastors, we deal with a lot of really heavy stuff, and
that we don't have time for.
that's the
So I can speak to where AI can be beneficial, like in the context of a church, like we talked about it, like group discussion questions. But so one of our members at our church, he uses literally AI to take notes for him during my sermons.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
It is unreal, how well
Makes you sound really good.
It does, yeah. No, but it gets all of my main points, my supporting points, anything I wanted to hit. Which, first of all, it's kind of a confidence boost for me that I'm actually saying what I think I'm saying. Because if
that could also be a good development tool,
yeah,
to help me.
what was my main idea? What were my main things? And it spits it out and tells me. So there is good use for it because it really does keep detailed notes. You can go back. So there's some benefit for it. But pretend that's I think what this is for me is you're pretending to be available, and it's just, I don't know. It just goes back to what you're saying. If you have this, you feel like your church needs this, which is the only reason I can assume they have this. Go plant a church. Send people out of you got too many people, man. You can't shepherd all these people. Anyway.
here's the other problem with it. It is $49 a month
Oh, it's a
for
subscription?
unlimited access.
It's a subscription? Oh, man.
Yeah. I could understand if a church your size started charging for
Count me
it
out.
You have to pay for
you
the
have to pay for the
OpenAI.
OpenAI,
Yeah. But
interface.
even that's not that much.
Right.
I mean, I
Now
guess
at their
depends on your
scale
number
it
of
is. If you
queries,
have
but-
21,000 people using it, that's a ton of
Yeah, that's a lot.
tokens. And
Yeah.
so I get it. But also their budget is, I'm sure
ridiculous.
virtually
Yeah.
unlimited. So
You could probably take it
Yeah.
out of his salary and
that's
You
a
wanna go there?
conversation we're not going to have.
Yeah, it's you want to go there? Oh, man.
I think some of it goes back to maybe what we talked about a little bit last episode too, just trying to be efficient, trying to magnify ourselves to an extent and not leaving room.
That's what
for,
this screams. It screams
right.
that. Like,
yeah,
anyway,
for sure. It's hard to not. Honestly, we're being more tame than I would have imagined. It's hard for me to not turn into the last guy about this,
right?
Because it screams like egomaniacal.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
But I mean, I want to
I didn't say it was. You can't sue me.
I want to know
screaming
too what,
Thank you.
like we're both bivocational, or some people hate that word, co-vocational.
Well, they're two
Whatever
different
you
things
wanna call it.
technically, but anyway,
are they?
whatever.
I
There are
don't know
subtle
what the
differences.
distinction is. Anyway, we both have full-time jobs. We both pastor a church plant, albeit considerably smaller than this gentleman's church.
By a couple of people, yeah.
Just a few.
But like we're able to pastor a church and work full-time jobs and raise a young family. And
Two young families, to be very,
yeah,
very
we don't
clear.
share a family.
Just,
Yeah, we're not
Not
that,
a
not that
young
kind of
just
family.
listening. Yeah, right.
And still have time for like I get several calls a week from church members about different things. I'm sure you do too. Like
Yep.
we still have time for our people amidst all of that. What are you doing
Where
as a pastor? Like I know
I
what
bet-
the answer is. You're speaking
Books.
engagements and books
Speaking,
and all
yeah.
kinds of other things. Like
with
but
your
that,
face
like,
on it. by the
that
way.
should reveal the problem. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that like this, if I'm ever sitting in that desk and saying like, oh, look at this, I don't have to like answer these calls from my deacons anymore, or the single mother that is like struggling to make rent. Like, no, like that's the point where I go, all right, maybe I need to shore up my speaking schedule, or maybe I don't have to release a book this year.
or just become a speaker.
Okay, I take it back. Good job, Ron. Your face is not on the cover of your books. Okay.
Hey.
all of them.
All
well,
two.
he didn't.
Oh,
He's only got fascinating.
ooh, step it up, man.
I bet this is a wow. Yeah, I have more books than
You got
that.
tons of time.
You got
man.
AI now.
Yeah,
What are you doing with all your time?
Probably writing more books with it. This has nothing to do with anything, but I bet that they have more people in the bathroom at any one time on a Sunday morning than you have in your church.
That's so good.
They probably have more bathrooms
Yeah,
than we have.
yeah, right. They have more stalls. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
than you have people. That
that's
has
good.
nothing to do with anything.
Man.
Yeah, no, that's a good. Do you think? I wonder. I would be interested to know if, like, when people do those requests and all of that, if like there's a system on the back end that will spit out digests of that, and then he has like administrative assistants or a team of people that
There's
will
got to be some
filter
like,
that, and like
it's gotta have a
something's gonna get
follow-up.
escalated, followed up on,
Surely,
moved up,
like that would be like tragic if you didn't have any sort of follow up from that. Like you're literally just relying on AI. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Surely, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, surely there's a team that follows up for the extreme ones. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But anyway, even still, like, then have an intake form on your website. Like that's what I like.
They do.
Okay, why aren't you using that then? Why a Ron Carpenter app? That's
Yeah.
what I don't
Yeah,
understand.
they have that, and they have a phone line. It's unclear. I didn't.
So you
call
can
it,
you
so
can
I
get.
don't know
Let me
what-
get this straight. You can go to their website and get actual prayer, or at least have a request heard, or you can go to AI and talk with a robot.
Right, well, the Ron Carpenter robot. Here's
That's
the yeah.
crazy.
Here's
There's any robot.
I'd be curious to hear what
Fair.
you guys think about this, because I've kind of kicked this around for a while now, and I think the way whatever I'll just say it, like with something like that, if there is a like you said, it sort of collates all of that and says, here's sort of the main things that like have come up that need prayer, and there is somebody on like a real human on the back end praying for those things, or at least following up, addressing those things, whatever. I would say, in my opinion, it doesn't necessarily have to be Ron Carpenter himself. If there are other pastors or lay leaders in it, like they have an equal responsibility in their church to know the people and pray for the people and be engaged with the people. And that's where, like, when we start talking about mega churches, where I can kind of begin to reconcile that myself as like maybe kind of okay.
But then just call it this church's virtual assistant or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
yes,
instead of
right. That's what I'm saying. That like
Yeah.
that's the problem, is the way that it's presented.
Right.
If it wasn't, it was like if it was just what I don't remember what church he's with, whatever blank church prayer line or whatever. fine. Like for all the other reasons, we still kind of have issue with it. But if it's all just funneling into a generic thing, and then maybe he's apprised of some of them,
maybe
or
he
he
is.
pops in and checks on them from time to time. But
Or
there are
pastoral
other
care
ministry
team,
leaders.
or-
Surely.
Then that's maybe not.
Oh,
as
it could
big
be
a deal.
worse. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's presented.
Here's
is
how
like,
it could be worse. Well, no, I'll tell you how it could be worse.
Go ahead.
No, what if the first guy had an AI app for his platform?
And they just
What guy?
The first guy we watched.
Oh,
Like, hey, tell me what's wrong with beards. Tell me what's wrong with Diet Cola.
you know what we need to do? We need to sign up for a month of it, and then we need to get
Hey,
ChatGPT to
talk to it.
Like, hey, ask for a prayer, and then get them to just,
Just
back
go.
and forth and just see what happens.
it gets escalated to the
Right.
Oh man.
Church in Southern California burns down because of the server overload.
Man.
Fantastic.
This has been an interesting one.
That's to say the least.
Yeah, do we have more thoughts about AI?
Oh, loads.
That's so one of my I will say, I don't know if you're listening. I have a coworker who is very, very into AI. Like super into AI.
It's
You
you.
are.
It's you.
You are. Yeah, it's you.
No, but
you are our coworker.
no, but
who's
I'm
really
the
into
like
AI.
no, but I'm the like be nice so when it takes over it'll spare me. He's like the it's just gonna kill everybody. Like that's how far like
Okay.
he's
Do you
super
ever
into
like
the-
when you're using
Will you
ChatGPT? Like, could you
please?
please
That's
like
what- yeah.
do
Excuse
this? Like,
uh,
you moved from GPT to
yeah, I'm all Gemini now. I pay. Yep.
Wow.
Big step.
I know. Well, it's been a little while. The reason is you can use it in Docs. So
Oh.
like if I literally like
Yeah,
as
see, and I
I'm
don't
in
really
Google
use
Docs,
Docs.
I'm like, help me rephrase this if I don't like the way I said something or whatever. It's very convenient.
Now,
And I
so
talk
I
to it
use
all the time.
Notion. Notion has an AI built in, and I think I might pay for some credits of that or whatever.
Sure.
So I can like, it's like really cool because I can like if I have a specific outline I use for something, I can like copy that outline and say like, hey, help me come up with an outline on this content that matches this style, and it spits out
That's
like
cool.
my whole document with that. And it's normally trash, and so I
Sure.
just erase it and start over. But
Right.
it's cool that it can do that.
Yeah, right, fair.
And I use it for other little meaning. Anyway.
No, but there's a lot of good uses. Like I said before, there's a lot of good uses for AI. There's like you can leverage it like honestly for gospel things. I know it sounds silly, but it's true. It's a tool just like anything else is.
You use AI so you can argue with that instead of Reddit.
Dude, well, first of all, I don't get on Reddit, but
Yeah, because you use AI now.
no, I don't get on. But it also like that's also a really helpful tool. Is you can say like, hey, pretend you're something. It helps you refine your own beliefs and arguments because it'll be it'll be a devil's advocate for you in a really efficient way. So I found that to be helpful. Like just as I'm working through thoughts, Sabrina makes fun of me all the time.
So do Preston and I. We just don't tell you about it.
Yeah, I mean, fair. All the time about me using it, but it genuinely can be helpful. Please, please, please do not use it if you're a pastor to write your sermons. Please don't use it to help you create like content that promotes yourself. Please, please let the scripture speak. That's my biggest because I as a pastor who uses AI for sermon help, do not write your sermons.
Yeah,
with
so where's
AI.
the line on that?
Yeah,
Tell
so-
me where the line is.
Sure. So whenever I use it, I'll speak from example. Whenever I use AI in my sermons, I ask for an illustration, like some sort of story that can highlight this point. Super easy to do, and very effective. It gives you a lot of different ones. Sometimes I don't like them. Most of the time, what happens is it gives me one that makes me think of something
Yes,
else,
yeah.
and then I just use that. I also use it to help refine or rephrase something. I'm like, I don't love the way I've written this. I can't think of another way to write it, so I have it rephrase it for me. Those are pretty the big things that I use it for. I also have it give me some discussion questions often because I can post it all in there. I can help it, or I use it to help me work on transition phrases between my points.
Oh, yeah.
But that's about where it ends.
So I have used it here. I think I've done this twice with two of my sermons. I'll say hey, write me a sermon outline on this topic.
Yeah.
Not to use it, but to see okay, what did you
What it's
come up
thinking
with?
about.
When you
Well,
crawled
that's-
all of the
yeah.
Bible that you have access to photographically that I don't.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Yeah.
And let me compare and contrast with commentaries and some other things
And
and where
that's-
I would go.
Yeah,
And
and that's fine as long as you've wrestled with it already yourself, is what I would say. Because I do the same thing with commentary. I'm not saying that's wrong. Just me personally, I like to have my own idea, my main idea, my points before I start engaging commentaries. And a lot of times that'll get reformed and change as I read more.
you come up with 3 points and nobody in the history of anybody ever has had
Exactly.
those ideas.
Exactly.
maybe I need to change
You
something.
might be, yeah, exactly. You might be thinking of something wrong. So that's what I would say. Like, use it as a tool. Do not say, help me, like, what is the main idea of John chapter blah, blah, blah? Like, please just go read a commentary or something, or like ask a trusted pastor. Do not ask AI. Like,
Or
first
at
of all,
least not as your sole
exactly,
source. Like cross-reference
exactly.
that, double check.
It can still be used as a resource. Like, you can.
I use it a lot for like related verses. Like, hey, what are,
for sure.
What are some
I'll-
verses related to this verse or related to this concept?
That's
and it'll
right.
spit out like 10, and usually 2 or 3 of them are like, I think we had different ideas of what I'm
for
talking
sure.
about. But a lot of them are like, oh, okay, I never considered that.
But this is why AI can be scary, because if you have a common sense brain, like, it's pretty easy to navigate through.
Right.
But for some people, it's like, if you're not, honestly, if you're not a
Beards
good,
are unbiblical.
Yeah.
AI said so.
if you're not a good critical thinker, it can be very dangerous. So it's like that's my only advice. So I don't know if I'm encouraging any pastors out there, or maybe, I don't know, whatever. But that's just don't have it write the sermon for you, please. Please do not. Let the scripture and the spirit
I
move.
probably sit somewhere in between those two, where it's like I often, when I'm like in the beginning stages of sermon prepping, so I'll read the passage 100 times, not really, but a bunch,
a lot.
Could you say, I'll read the passage more dismissively? Or was
I'll
that
read
just
this passage.
like,
I'll read the passage.
Fine.
Whatever, like.
Just kidding.
saying like you said, start there, right? So start with and then like then I've got a tangled web of spaghetti of thoughts. Like I know
Spaghetti web.
moderately, like emotionally, where here's the analogy I would use. We've all got that box of cables, right? And so like I
It's
can
a
pick
bag,
up that box of
excuse you.
cable, bag, whatever.
You know,
Drawer.
is Gen Alpha going to have that problem? Like, no Gen Alpha is going to have
like all my Bluetooth is tangled
Well,
up.
because
an
Apple
S
doesn't like
video
working with
to like floppy disk or something.
They will.
Floppy
They
disk.
will, because they'll be digging
We're bringing
through,
them back.
they'll be digging through our garages.
That's
when we're
right,
dead.
yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Good point.
Yeah.
What the heck
Sorry,
is this?
kids.
Anyway, you have this jumbled up mess of cable, right? And you know that there's a lightning cable in there. There's an HDMI cable in there.
You gotta.
But that's not how you can describe this ball currently,
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
And so that's kind of like, as I'm reading through it, I'm like, I know how it makes me feel right there. Like I know, like
Which is always a good starting
someone
point for a
else-
sermon.
someone else, like just help me unravel it a little bit.
Word process.
Like help me find the
Yeah.
end of that lightning cable, and then I can pull the rest of it out. So that's how I'll go to it a lot of times and say, like you did, where it's like, here's my passage, give me an outline for this, and see like how many points do you spit out? Like, am I tracking in similar, like, is this kind of delineated in a similar way? Like, are you seeing breaks in it the same way I am? And then also just helping me put words to the thoughts I have. So then I'll see what it spits out and like, that accurately describes kind of what I was thinking. Maybe I tweak it here, compare it with this commentary or whatever.
Right.
And that's kind of how I use it. And then main point is a big one I get, because I always struggle with those, like, not, again, just the like putting words to it.
Just like
so it's
one
like,
thing,
I know
one sentence.
kind of, help me condense
Narrow,
this into something.
Yeah. No, I think so. Kind of the main theme of that would be, or advice, I guess, like the takeaway, like don't use like, and AI is not a replacement for thought. You
Yeah.
cannot use
Correct.
it thoughtlessly.
Correct.
You still need to
That's what
analyze
people think it
and
is.
think about
Yeah.
like, okay, what is this saying? Where is it true? Where is it not? And honestly, and maybe this is maybe a little bit of a litmus test of where our culture is, because a lot of the times the output skews towards kind of the new age,
Sure.
touchy-feely theology.
Oh,
I've
it does.
noticed.
It does.
And like, where does it get its information from?
It's also been wrong before.
It's been
Like,
wrong for sure.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I'm talking like when I ask about something from the text, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's just not true.
Right.
So,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Always be careful.
but
yeah.
it skews like new agey, like
does.
touchy feely, almost like just like
It's very
kinda-
modern church application. Yeah.
which is interesting because it gets its information from like information that is posted on the internet.
right.
So
Commentaries.
is that how far
sermons.
we've gone in our
Yeah.
culture that the majority
good
of
question.
teaching is
Mm.
that bent, so
That's a
that
good
when
question, brother.
we ask
Right.
AI to
Yeah.
analyze
'Cause
it,
all
it's
it's
like,
doing
this
is
must be what the Bible's
distilling.
about.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
it. It's a mirror.
And so then it's like, that must mean that the content out there is
Yeah.
51%.
Man, that's a great
this.
point.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it that way before. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Because it's not like some liberal programmer's like,
Right.
I'm going to make this. If anybody ever asks about the Bible, I'm going
Right.
to make sure that
It's
it's
dumb. Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
no, it's getting
Surprising.
legitimate
Yep.
information that people have put out there. So,
That's
anyway,
good.
something that has nothing to do with anything. But
No,
think
that's
about
good. I'm glad that led into something practical.
yeah. So, do we fix AI?
We fixed it.
We're on the right track.
All developers listen to us.
I was going to try to think of like I'm a pretty big Isaac Asimov fan. He wrote the book like I, Robot. Another guy like mid 1900 like author, futuristic
You'll
dystopian
get there.
sci-fi speculative fiction guy. Anyway, I, Robot, really good book. He has his like 3 laws of robotics. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or read the book or anything. Like robots cannot harm humans. Robots like must obey humans except where it conflicts with the first law, and a robot cannot harm itself unless it conflicts with the first 2 laws. Something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
I was going to try to think of something
Protect its
witty.
own
that would-
existence.
Yes, yeah. There we go. I was going to think of some sort of witty way to work that into AI, but I couldn't.
You just did.
Figure it out.
That was great.
No, I didn't.
That was very witty.
Very witty.
I just quoted.
What are they?
Thank
I'm
you.
just-
Yeah.
Haha. The wit on this one. Critical Levitical is sponsored by A Frank Voice. A Frank Voice publishes devotional and discipleship content and resources geared to help you and your family grow in your relationship with Jesus. See more about the resources and books available at www.afrankvoice.com and use the promo code CRITICAL to get 10% off your next purchase.
All right, we did it.
We did it.
Talk about stuff.
Beards and AI.
Beards and what? An episode.
Yeah, this may have been the most chaotic one yet. So
I feel like we've said that about a few of them. We're trying to find
it
a
probably
line.
is true
When we
every
get
time.
there. It's
Right.
true.
That's every one of them.
Yeah, maybe we're getting too comfortable. Yeah, so hey, thanks for tuning in. I don't have any great conversation topic to wrap this up. I feel like we were chaotic enough. You don't need anything more.
It's also that time of year where nothing special's happening. And
Well, here's the deal. I can always encourage our listeners. We're getting a little bit more engagement online, I feel like, which has been good for our podcast. Seriously, like, don't be afraid to comment and ask questions and drive that, not
tell
just
us we're
selfishly.
wrong.
Yeah, seriously, tell me I'm wrong.
And we'll tell you why we're not.
We'll get AI.
Probably,
Get
yeah.
AI to tell you why we're
That's
not.
right. I'll get Ron Carpenter on the phone, and then he'll tell you
No way,
why
man.
you're
Not
wrong.
for what he costs.
Yeah, right.
$50 a month?
Yeah,
Heck
just
no.
encouragement. Just engage, comment, send
yeah.
us some questions.
So how do you use AI? If you do,
Let us
if you
know.
don't, tell us why not. That's it.
good.
That's all I got.
So long.
Later.